Okay, it's been over a week since the Fallout show has come out now, and a lot of people have seen it, not everybody has. There will be some spoilers in this video. My brief thoughts are that it is very good, just viewed as its own thing, but I don't like what it means for the Fallout series going forward, because it has been confirmed that the show is canon to the games, and I feel like from that perspective it kind of misses the point. So the thing to understand about Fallout is that a lot of different people have worked on it over the years, and they seem to have different ideas about what makes Fallout Fallout and what makes Fallout good. Specifically, I'm talking to about the original people who worked on it, that is Black Isle Studios and then later Obsidian. So they made Fallout 1, 2, and Fallout New Vegas. And then Fallouts 3, 4, and 76 were all made by Bethesda, and no one gives a shit about the others. And some of those games are post-apocalyptic, but a lot of them are post-apocalypse. Like, by the time you reach Fallout New Vegas, which takes place in 2281, which, if you are unfamiliar, the bombs in the Fallout world dropped in 2077, so that's when civilization ended. But in 2281, which is when Fallout New Vegas takes place, large parts of America have moved on from the apocalypse. Like, out in the West, in California and some other surrounding areas, society has been partially rebuilt. Like, people are picking up the pieces. They aren't just living in small towns scavenging in ruins of the old world. They are developing new technology. They are doing new science. They have, farms, agriculture. They have large-scale trade. The new California Republic is a large, functioning nation-state. Like, it has police, it has laws, it has a military, it has a democratically elected government. It obviously has a lot of issues, but it is a functioning nation-state after the apocalypse. Like, the NCR is post-apocalypse. And then out east in the games where Fallout 3 and 4 take place, it's still very much post-apocalypse. Like, they have not started rebuilding yet, and that's largely because the bombs, a lot more bombs were dropped on the East Coast than the West. And actually, just a very brief aside here, as much as it pains me to admit it, the NCR ending in Fallout New Vegas is probably the best ending. Like, that's probably the ending that's best for New Vegas and the people living there. Because again, the NCR has a lot of serious issues, but law and order does exist within their borders, for the most part, and when you actually see the aftermath, like New Vegas has 4 different endings, for those who don't know. There's the NCR ending, Caesar's Legion ending, the Mr. House ending, and the Independent New Vegas ending. And at first, it seems like the Independent New Vegas ending would be best. At least that's what it seemed like to me back when I played the game. But then you read about it and you realize, no one's in charge still. Like, it's still very much post-apocalypse, where there's a whole bunch of gangs and raiders and tribes just running around killing each other. No one's in charge. No one is really able to get things peaceful, and it's just a mess. Whereas Caesar's Legion, sure, there's law and order, but they also crucify everyone who steps out of line. And then Mr. House, also law and order, but you're ruled by an insane immortal autocrat. So also not great. The NCR, while it's not great, is the best ending. But that leads me back to the Fallout show, because you see, partway through the show, in, I believe, episode 6, we see a whiteboard which tells us that Shady Sands, the capital of the NCR, was destroyed in 2277. Now, you might notice that's 4 years before Fallout New Vegas takes place. Even though in Fallout New Vegas, the NCR was still around, and by the time of the Fallout show, which is 2296, the NCR is gone. Like, the capital was destroyed, and I guess it's implied that everything fell apart after that. Now, I have 2 theories for why they might have shown it that way if the game was, or if the show was going to be canon to the game's universe. The first theory being that they were just stupid and didn't realize that that was a plot hole. The second theory being that they were originally planning for the show to just be its own thing, which is what I thought it was at first when I saw that. I was like, okay, the show has nothing to do with the games, so I don't have to worry about it changing the lore. But no, apparently they just decided after the fact that, okay, yeah, it has to be canon to the games. It's going to be in the same world. And if that's the case, they did a really shit job of showing it. Like, if this is actually what they were planning from the beginning, they did a really shit job of showing it. Because again, the whiteboard very clearly says 2277, and people are trying to say, like, oh, no, no, there's an arrow pointing afterwards. That means the fall of Shady Sands was after 2277. And according to Todd Howard, it was 2284. But, like, you did a shit job of showing it if that was actually your intention, which I don't think it was. But this is one of the issues that Bethesda has had with Fallout ever since they've owned the franchise. Like, they don't want to move on from the post-apocalypse. They want it to just stay exactly as it is. They want it to be mutated monsters, the world can never change, people run around starving and killing each other for no real reason other than survival, basically forever. And I mean, looking back, I think that was why some people really don't like Fallout 3. I still love Fallout 3, don't get me wrong. But I think that's one of the issues people had with it, is that it brings in the Brotherhood of Steel and the Enclave and super mutants and has them all in like really prominent roles, but they're also very different roles than they were in the first couple of games. Because in the first couple of games, the Brotherhood of Steel was a religious cult. They weren't really the good guys. And then Fallout New Vegas comes around and does that again. But then in Fallout 3, they're like, oh, no, no, the Brotherhood are good guys. They're protecting the wasteland from super mutants. And then Fallout 4 made them kind of bad again, so that worked out. But then, like, the Enclave, you know, they're kind of just evil. You know, there's not a lot going on with them in Fallout 3. Whereas in the earlier games, it's like, yes, they were straight up the remnants of the U.S. government who had, they're the descendants of the remnants of the U.S. government, I should say, who were coming in to cleanse the wasteland because they thought everyone else was inferior to them. You know, like, there's like actual stuff going on here, which Bethesda kind of pushed aside. You know, they didn't want to actually look at the themes of what the original people were trying to say, and they didn't want to just create their own new thing and try and do anything with that. It was just, hey, here's old nostalgic stuff because power armor is cool, right? You think power armor is cool? Like, again, Fallout 4, they kind of tried that a little bit to be a little deeper and more intelligent and more thoughtful with it, like with the Brotherhood being evil and all the stuff with androids and the Institute is really cool. But, I mean, again, it's still very much post-apocalypse, and there's no real option for society to move forward. And now it seems like because the Fallout show is canon to the games, we're going to have to deal with the consequences of what happens in the show forever. Like, we're going to have to deal with the NCR being gone forever. And it's teased at the end of the show that Season 2 is going to be in New Vegas. And I think they're going with the Mr. House ending because Mr. House is shown briefly in the last episode in a flashback before the war, and it would be weird for them to tease him without having him actually be involved later. So the NCR is not going to be around, Caesar's Legion isn't going to be around, it's just going to be people killing each other in the wasteland basically forever, and I guess New Vegas, my first thought is it'll be this one little oasis, it's not a great place, but it does have an actual government and everything, it's, you know, there's law and order of some sort, but something tells me they're going to find a way to undo that as well, and that makes me feel like, okay, I guess Bethesda and Todd Howard really aren't great at being stewards of the Fallout franchise. You know, they want it to just be this eternally stagnant Neverland where it's just mutated monsters, dudes in power armor, people scavenging and avoiding radiation forever. You know, nothing ever changes. And that's unfortunate. You know, I still really like the games and I liked the show as its own thing, but I hate what it represents for the future. And that's all.